Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us in our expert talk. I would request you all to mute yourself so that there are no disturbances. We'll definitely conduct a question answer session at the end of the session as well. And in between, you can write down your questions in the Q&A forum or the chat window. I'm Anamika, and I welcome you all to today's webinar on MERN versus MEAN, how to gear up your full stack career. Today is all about understanding the right technology stack in full stack. We'll deep dive into the difference between MERN and MEAN. Most importantly, which one is good for you. Let me quickly introduce our speaker for the session, Mr. Varun Gupta. Varun Gupta is a leading software developer and a recognized corporate trainer. In his more than 12 years of experience at various roles in IT industry, he has worked with several leading companies and trained over more than 10,000 plus professionals on different technologies across the globe. His breadth of skills also include deep knowledge in C, HTML5, CSS, Bootstrap, and many more. He is also adept at all phases of software development lifecycle, requiring requirement analysis, design, and etc. Without wasting any time, I'll give the floor to Varun. Let us begin the session and we'll be happily entertaining you all of your questions. Thank you, Varun.
Thanks everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the session. Let me share my screen. Just give me a minute. Okay. So I hope you can see my screen. Is it visible to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the confirmation. So we are here today to discuss what is the difference between MEAN and MERN. How many of you aware about this? The full form.
Sir, excuse me, sir. So, it would be great if you come closer to mic or you could speak up loud.
Sure. Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay.
No, not much better.
Okay. Let's try once again. Hello, is it better?
Varun, it is clear to me it might be some issue at the user end network because it's very clear and audible to me.
Now it's clear. Anamika, your voice is very good, but Varun's was deafening. Now it's clear.
Okay. So I think now, since you can able to hear me, we can get started. The first thing is we are here to discuss about the MEAN and MERN. How many of you know about the difference between, the full form of this MEAN and MERN? If somebody can tell me over the chat. Yes,
Yes, sir. MEAN stand for MongoDB, ExpressJS, Angular, and Node.js.
Correct.
And MERN stands for MongoDB, ExpressJS, React, and Node.
Okay, yes, correct. So that means only there's a one difference, that is in this MEAN we have the Angular, in the MERN we have the React, right? Rest all the technology is same. First of all, what is this MEAN and MERN? So these are called stacks. These are called the stack to develop a web application. So basically there are different type of stacks that are available in the market. You need to decide which one is the best for you, for your learning purpose and for your career perspective. So mostly you can see there is a only difference of the front end. In nowadays we having a lot of the different front ends are available. We have Angular, we have React, we have Vue.js. These are three most popular front end frameworks that we are using. So having a MEAN stack means it is a complete stack to build a web application. You know that to build a web application, there are multiple things that we may require. We required front end, we required back end, we required database, we required middleware. So these stacks are meant in such a way that it is going to give you everything that you may require to build any application. If you compare the MEAN and MERN, there are many differences in terms of performance, in terms of flexibility, in terms of, you can say, the learning curve, right? But more or less they are saying it's up to you which one you want to choose, or you can say which one has a better demand, right? So MEAN stands for MongoDB, Express, Angular, and Node.js. So MongoDB is a database we're going to use in a backend. now days are gone when we're using a traditional database. We have the SQL databases where we have to write a lot of queries. We have to write a lot of queries to like get the data from the database, and then we have to convert it into a form which can be consumed in the application. So from last so many decades, we only have the SQL databases. It can be a MySQL, it can be Oracle, it can be SQLite. But now after the explosion of the social, you can say social websites, they start producing a data in such a huge number, right? It needs some kind of a database which is flexible, which gives us the flexibility to store any kind of a data. So there comes the NoSQL database. And then we have MongoDB, Cassandra, Redis, many other. Out of these NoSQL database, MongoDB is one of the most, you can say, popular these days. Then we have Express. So Express is a kind of a framework we use when we're building a Node.js. Now Node.js, most people think that Node.js is a programming language. It's not. That's incorrect. Node.js is just a JavaScript runtime environment. So we know that whenever we are building a web application, we use some kind of a JavaScript. And to see the output of the JavaScript, we have to run the program into the browser and can see the output in the console. But having a Node.js, you can able to execute the JavaScript code and get the response at the backend also, in a server also. You can execute now JavaScript code in a backend to build the entire backend also. So usually JavaScript was used traditionally just for adding some kind of an animation for form validations. That's it. The JavaScript developer does not have much respect in that days. It was assumed to be a very simple task, but now a JavaScript developer can be called as a full stack developer because all this technology that you can see on the screen right now, they are using JavaScript. MongoDB based on a JavaScript, Express using a JavaScript, Angular using a JavaScript, Node.js also using a JavaScript. So that means now the JavaScript developer can be called themselves as a full stack developer. And this is also one of the most popular stack these days. There are two more stacks. We can use Java, we can use .NET, and we can use a mean stack, mean or MERN. So the main idea is, in this case, we have
Sir, we can use either Java or either we can use .NET or either we can use Angular or React. These three options, we can use any one of them.
They are different. These all are different. As I said, there are three main tracks. First is the .NET track. Then we have the Java track. Then we have this mean. So basically, the main difference will you find in the backend. Front end remain the same. You can take any track. You can take any technology. The front end remain either Angular or React. But the changes will going to happen in the backend. Which technology you want to use in the backend? It can be a .NET. Then you can go with the .NET with maybe a MongoDB or SQL Server. You can go with the Java, then you can use MySQL. Of course, you can use Python also. Python, we have Django also, but Python is something which I don't have any experience. I generally have an experience with the .NET, Java, and JavaScript. So you can see in the mean stack, these three technologies are common. We have this MongoDB, Express, and Node.js, and Angular is different, right? So, and then MERN stack, again, we have the MongoDB, we have the Express, we have the Node.js. Only this front end get changed, React. There's a lot of debate is happening over the internet. You can see and you can search which one is better, Angular or React. Now, I will say it is your personal preference. Both of them are very popular framework. You can go with the either Angular or React. The only thing is React is known as a JavaScript library. A lot of people, they compare JavaScript with Angular with the React, but it is incorrect. Angular is a complete framework which gives you everything that you want to build an application, and React is just a JavaScript library. You have to bring a few more components into the React ecosystem to build the entire front end. Now, this might be having an advantage. This can have a disadvantage. Advantage is you are flexible. You can choose the tools of your choice. However, in the Angular, we don't have that option. Second thing is, since Angular gives you everything, that means sometimes you also get the things that you may not require. It's going to increase the size of your application. Sometimes it becomes difficult to manage. But since React is just a library, it's a very lightweight, and you are always flexible to add anything of your choice. Suppose you want to make a network call, we have various options. We can use Fetch API. We can use React. We can use Request library. We can use Axios. There are many other. But in the case of Angular, we don't have that option. So I can say React is a little lightweight and you are more flexible. However, Angular is a complete framework which gives you everything. But of course, sometimes it is advantage, sometimes it may not be. If you see this is a novel, you can see a slide where you can see the comparison, which is the most popular framework. You can see React is the market is coming in the top. Why? Because As I said, there are many more advantages since first of all, React is backed by the Facebook. So you can see the Facebook is, I am assuming all of you might be using the Facebook. Facebook also you built on top of the React only. Earlier days, it was on PHP, then the React framework, the Facebook, they have developed their own, and then they convert their entire website, the Facebook, the application into the React. And then they make it a React as an open source for the community. Anybody can able to use the React framework to build their front end. If you do a comparison here, you can see the React.js top the market, is a market leader by far from the Angular. Of course, these dynamics keep on changing. It's not something, but I have taken this slide a few months back. So that, at that time, React was a popular, and today also it is very popular. One thing you can observe is the Vue.js. Now, Vue.js also becoming a hugely popular, right? But Angular, you can see it's far. The difference between the React and the Angular is far, right? If you compare the React with the Angular on a GitHub, you can see React has a more star rating as compared to the Angular. Apart from that, you can see it has more watch. You can see this React is backed by a huge community support. There are a lot of developers who like the React. They're happily sharing their knowledge, and you can find a lot of resources on the internet to read React, to get started with the React. You can see the number also. GitHub, you know that it is a one of the very popular, you can say, repository where we can maintain our source code. So you can find like a lot of the React and Angular source code you can find on the React, and you can see the React, it is almost the figure is almost double in terms of watch, in terms of star, in terms of fork. If you see the performance aspect of these two, Angular versus React, you can see that it is almost same. You can see 0.3 to 0.9 seconds, and this is more or less same. As I said, these are the two popular frameworks. So in terms of performance, they are more or less same. But in terms of working style, or you can say in terms of community support, React is the market leader. Now, which stack you want?
Hi, Varun. I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, what is the difference between React Native and React.js?
Okay, a good question. So basically, React Native is a specific framework built for building the mobile application. However, React.js is a framework we use for building the front end or a web application. So React Native comes with some of the library we can use to build the mobile application. And you might have heard about this term called hybrid apps as well as a native app. So native app is something which we use basically to build the application, a mobile application for a specific platform. Let's say if I want to build an Android app, I may require Java or Kotlin. If I want to build iOS app, I may have to write the code in Swift or in C++ or Objective-C. But React Native gives you the flexibility to build the kind of a hybrid app, giving you at the same time it also gives you the native flavor. So where we can use one code base to build an application which can be distributed for both the platforms. So there's no comparison between the React Native and the React.js, because React.js we use for building the web application, and React Native is we use to build the mobile application.
Okay, then if I create an app through Ionic, okay, and I use React, okay, so what should I call it? React Native or React.js?
So React Native, I don't think so. You can use Ionic to build the app in the React Native. So Ionic support the Angular.
It support React as well.
Okay, as far as I know, in the past I have worked with the Ionic. That time we only have the Angular, but if it's now, but that is again you can say a React native app, maybe with the collaboration with the Ionic. It is a React Native app if it no, I think in that case that will be using React.js, not React Native.
No, it supports React as well as Vue also these days.
Right. So that will be a React.js. I think React Native is a completely different framework.
Okay.
So React Native does not require Ionic. It has an inbuilt library which we can use to access any of the, you can say, any of the resources of the, you can say, if you want to use some kind of a, let's say camera, you want to open the camera, you want to access the gallery, everything can be done with the help of the React Native. So we don't need any kind of a, so there are some SDKs we can install and we can play with this to make a complete application. Is that clear?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So now if you do a small comparison between the React and you can say the Angular, the style of coding is a little different. You might have heard about a TypeScript. So TypeScript is a kind of a wrapper on top of the Angular. oh sorry, on top of the JavaScript. So writing a code in JavaScript, it's a little difficult sometimes because it does not support the classes, does not have the object-oriented programming features. But with the help of TypeScript, we can able to that make the life of the JavaScript developer a little easier. Now we can create the classes, we can write the code in the same style as we used to write in our Java or in other languages, right? So Angular support TypeScript. On the other hand, React support the JSX. So JS is again the kind of an extension which give you the flexibility to write the code by writing a simple HTML. I give you a simple example. Just give me a minute. Suppose if I want to create a simple project. So first of all, these modern frameworks, they comes with the you can say a lot of tooling, tool support. In the Angular, we can use the Angular CLI. However, in the React, we can use some of the packages. Let's say the Create React app that you can use to automate the entire thing, to build the entire project, and then we can use some npm commands to install the packages. Suppose if I want to create a simple React application. So I can just simply go to the git bash or any command line interface, and you can just simply write here npx. You can say npx, and then we can write here create React app. You can give some name. Let's say my app. In a matter of few seconds, you can see it will going to create the entire project, which give you the entire project with the folder structure with some default settings and configuration. So in the we do a comparison of Angular and React, the bundle size is also very less. The React is taking a very so you can say less space as compared to the Angular. However, from last two release of the Angular tried to keep the bundle size as low as possible. But again, the React will be will have an advantage over the sizing and the deployment in compared to the both. So just give me a minute. It will be shortly. It will be created. And you might have also heard about another term that is called Redux. Can somebody tell me what is Redux? Most of the people having a misconception that we have to learn Redux along with the React. That is incorrect. Redux is a completely standalone library, which we generally use with the React, but it's not mandatory. And most of the people, they start doing a mistake to learn the React and Redux together. You have to first,
I think
yes.
it's a framework which created by help of React. I think. Is it?
It's not like that. You can use Redux for state management. That's correct. Srinivasan is correct. So basically, Redux is used for state management. So what is a state? So basically, state means the data. Every application we create to manage some kind of a data, and to manage data more efficiently, we may require some tools, some libraries. Redux is one of them. So Redux will help you with the Redux. You can able to manage your state, the data across the application. Now, one important thing is about the Redux is in the React is the community is very supportive, and even the team which is backed by which is backing the React, they promise to make the release of they're releasing the updates twice in a year. The advantage is they keep on seeing the market. They take the feedback from the developers and they try to incorporate them. So you can expect more features in the React as compared to the Angular. The Angular team was not making an effort to release it very frequently. From last few years, they promise also that we also going to release the update the version twice in a year. But React is doing this for a long time. So they usually connect with the developers, they take the feedback from the developers, and then they try to incorporate them in the next release. So earlier when we started with the React, that time we don't have any kind of a support internally. We have to use the Redux. But now after the launch of the Context API, we don't even need the Redux also. Sometimes some developers feel Redux is a little complicated, so now we don't need that. We can use Context API to which we can use to manage the state very efficiently. Then second thing is React gives us the flexibility of functional programming, because in the case of Angular, we always have to create the classes. But in the React, we have two options. We can go with the functional components or we can go with the class components. Having a functional components will give you the flexibility to keep your code as concise as possible. The objective of functional components is you can able to suppose a small piece of code you just want to execute to get some kind of an output. So we can do with the help of the functional components. Later, it was observed that the functional component does not give us much support for the state. But now they introduce the hooks that you're going to learn. The hooks. The hooks is one of the, you can say, the most advanced feature of the React, which gives us the flexibility to entirely manage the state, right? State of the application with the help of functional components also, right? Okay, so my project is up and running. Let me open that project in the VS Code. So I'm just going to go inside my project first, and then so CD, and then we can open in the VS Code. Now let me give you a very simple example how we can able to create a component in this React. You can see this folder structure is very simple. If you see the folder structure of the Angular, it is huge. We have a lot of configuration, TS file, TS configuration file, a lot of this, but this is very simple. I can show you that as well. So we have an Angular project also. So this is the folder structure. We have a lot of files and folders, so many, but it's come with a very sleek, or you can say very compact size. We just have to work with the only one, that is the SRC. Okay, so Monish Kumar is asking, why do people use Redux? So basically, I give an example. Suppose we have a hierarchy of the components. So we have this parent component. After we have some child component. Then this child also has sub-child component. It is a complete kind of a hierarchy like this, right? So, and you can say this is going to be like this. Now assume this component has some kind of a data. That data he want to share with this component. So what we have to do, we have to lift this component, the state to this component and to this component, and then we have to go drill down to this component. That means you will end up having the same duplicate data copied here to reach here. So is there do you think it is a better approach? This component does not require that data, but still just to pass over the data to this component, I have to take this data all over the components just to complete the cycle. Having a Redux or any other state management API, we can directly pass the data from this component to this component. So there's no need of lifting the state to the other components. We don't have to do a duplication. Right, Monish? Is that clear? Okay. So this is the project of your React. You can see I can open the SRC. This is the place where we're going to mostly work. So if I want to create a new component, right click here, create a new file. Let's say I just want to say demo.js, right? There are several extensions available with the VS Code, which give you the support to complete your code as quickly as possible, like this. But I'm going to give you a very simple example. Suppose I can say IMRC, or you can say then we can simply create a functional component. So we can say function, and then so there are two ways we can. So generally, if you have heard about this ES6 new standard of writing with JavaScript, where we can create components in two ways. First will be the class component. So I can write a class, let's say test class demo, which extends from the React dot component, and then you can write here. There's a function called render. That render function has to return something. So we can say return, and that we're going to return some kind of a message. Let's say h1, and then we can write here in my class. Now, one thing I want to ask you, what do you think? What is this h1 tag? This is not the HTML. We give you the impression that we are writing the HTML. It is not the HTML. This is called JSX, right? This is the flexibility we have with the React. JSX is you can say kind of an extension which look like a regular HTML in most of the cases. But we are not writing the HTML, it is a JSS syntax. It is very much similar to the HTML. So it's look like that we are writing the HTML, but it's not the HTML. So we can able to write the content very easily. Almost 90 to 95% of the syntax is more or less similar, right? So it is faster because of its performance optimized while computing the code to the JavaScript. It is also type safe, and most of the errors can be caught during the compilation. And it also make it easier and faster to write the templates, as we are already familiar with the HTML. So these are the advantages we have with the JSX. Suppose similarly, if you want to create a functional component, right, you can create a functional component so to create a functional component, you can directly create a function. Let's say you can write here a constant. Let's say this is my hello component. Hello equals to, you can use here the arrow function, which can return. Later we just need to export this. So export default export, and so I want to export the hello. That is something we can do. Now, if you look at this is a syntax of the component we have in our React, but if you see this same thing in the Angular, it required a lot of code. If I just open this, my Angular project, you can see it is the first of all folder size is huge, lot of files and folders. If you create a bundle of this, you can see the size of the bundle is very huge as compared to the React. React is a very lightweight, does not have a huge so many files and structure. You can take any example of any component. Let's say this one. A lot of code we have to write. We have the spec file, HTML file, CSS file. We have to maintain them separately. React gives you the flexibility to write it a very simple way. Just as this line, 3 lines of code, and we are done with the component. Although we are going to write a lot of code, if you want to do something, we have to add more code. But this is again a syntax is very much simple. So now, if you talk about the full stack, definitely full stack is a complete stack. If you want to start your journey as a web developer, so you need to choose a right path. Either it can be mean or it can be MERN. But try to choose the path or choose the stack which having a great future. You don't have to learn something which is trending today. You have to learn something which is trending in the past few years. Then only you can get an advantage. Because if you start learning something, it took you time at least 6 to 1 year to become expert. And after 1 year, the technology might get changed. And this is something that you always have to prepare yourself, right? Because technology is changing at a very high rate. Today, something we are using today might be getting deprecated tomorrow. So constantly we have to upgrade ourselves. But from somewhere you have to start. So I can suggest MERN stack is important because it has a React in it. Because React is also one of the market, you can say leader in terms of the front end technologies. Full stack developer, why it is we are saying about full stack developer. So full stack developer is a person who is having the knowledge of almost every layer. He can work as a backend developer, can work as a front-end developer, can be as a database engineer. So to build a web application, we have a front-end, backend, and database. These MERN stack involve all the technologies to make you the expert or to make you the full stack developer. Because we discussed MERN stack involve the database, front-end, and backend all. So full stack developer is a person who will be the combination of all the 3 technologies, which know everything about the web application. He is the person who can be involved in from the ideation to the deployment. You should be aware about the complete software development lifecycle, how to analyze the gathering requirement, how to design, how to implement, then testing and evaluation, right? This is a complete cycle. After we complete one cycle, then we can say we have done the entire application. We have developed the entire application, because this is to develop one single software. There are many steps we are involved. So in the traditional time when we are building the application, I remember my school times or college time when we have only 3 technologies: Java, .NET, and PHP. But nowadays there's a market. So many technology in the market. Even if you take an example of front end, we have so many frameworks. In a back end, we have so many technologies we can use. But in my college school times, it will only we just have to answer one simple thing. You want to build your career in Java, .NET, or PHP. Nowadays, PHP, most of the people not using PHP, but now again, I think a few years back it started picking up. But it has been you can say used to be very popular in the you can say past. But now it has been not it's been replaced by the other modern technologies. Node.js is one of the preferred technology for building the REST API. Now, what is REST API? REST API is something you can say it is a kind of an independent backend. You can use that REST API to you can consume in any kind of an application. It can be web application, it can be your desktop, it can be your mobile application. Even mobile also, it can be Android, it can be iOS. That means using the REST API, you can have a one common backend which can be consumed in almost every any kind of an application. So we don't have to take a pain of building the backend for different application. It can be used. You can have a one common data backend which can be consumed in any technology, any front-end technology. So this is the very old architecture when we used to build an application as a whole. Now we are using something called microservices. In this era, we are building the microservices which give us a flexibility of scalability and choosing the different stack. You can have a microservices running on different technologies. It can be, let's say, one of the microservices can be on Java, can be on other, can be on PHP, other can be on .NET, other can be on Node.js. This is the kind of a flexibility. So by having a full stack, you will be aware of the almost the different type of technologies. You are not limited to one single technology. So in the front-end layer, we have different type of frameworks. Now HTML, CSS, JavaScript is not, that is a fundamental, but it's not enough. You may require more knowledge. You may have to be expert in the any kind of a framework, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript are the fundamental. You cannot ignore them, but you cannot make a successful career only because of these three technologies. You need to add some kind of a framework which is going to scale up your career. In the backend, we have Node.js, one of the most popular framework these days for building the REST APIs. Even PayPal also using the Java technology for their payment gateway. Few years back, they completely migrated from Java to the Node.js. Mostly people say that Java is to be secure language, and for almost all the payment gateway company, they're using a Java. But now the trend has been changed. The company is adopting the Node.js as their primary framework for building their backend. The PayPal is one of the most popular, you can say, the payment gateway across in the world, not only in India. They have migrated from Java to Node.js. Database. We have two types of database now, SQL, NoSQL. SQL is something you might be aware. NoSQL is something that you have to learn. NoSQL database are the future of the database industry, because at the rate we are producing the data, right? If you compare last 50 years data and just compare the last few years data, it is equivalent. And it has been assumed that going forward, we're going to double this data again in next 2 years. So we need some kind of a database which should give us the high availability, flexibility, scalability. And MongoDB is one of the most popular. So in the MERN stack, you will get the MongoDB, Node.js, and the Express. So full stack developer is a person who is responsible or who know all the technologies. He's you can say kind of a jack of all the trades, right? Let me ask you a simple question. Suppose if I ask you to take a simple, just a sword and just conquer the world, you may not be able to conquer it because there might be other people who having advanced weapons. But if I ask you to take 10 weapons and just go and conquer the world, the chances will become better because now you can use multiple things to make a success. Same thing for the full stack developer. Since he's a guy who know a lot of technologies, he can make his career more successful as compared to the person who stick to one single technology. And these times, the companies also are very bullish about the you can say the full stack developers, because they know that this is we don't have to hire 3 different people to perform 3 different tasks. We can have one common person who can work on any layer. He may not have to work on every layer. He can be fit in any position, because the hiring process take time and effort and money. The organization are thinking that they don't want to spend every time for hiring a new you can say the employee. They think that we want to put an effort once and then we can able to use that person in any position, any role. So full stack developer become the preference or the choice of the most of the organization these days. So we have discussed a lot of reasons to become a developer, full stack developer. I think that's it. Now, I think if you have any doubt, any questions, feel free to ask.
Sir, what is the benefit of this?
What is the benefit of
This course, and in backend, what technology you're using? Either you're using Java,
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. First of all, as I said, the technology that we are using in our MERN or main stack are the upcoming or the popular technologies, right?
And you didn't told what kind of projects you are focusing on, real world projects.
I'll tell
What
you.
kind of real world projects you are working on?
Definitely, it will be a project-based training. It's not like we are just going to do a training. We'll do multiple projects in this case, and this will be kind of an incremental project. Suppose we'll take a case study. Suppose we have to build an e-commerce application. When we're learning the React, we have to build the front end of that e-commerce app. Same project we're going to use in our backend, and we try to build the backend of the same application. So by the end of the course, you will be having a full-fledged project, and you will get an idea how to work on the project on a different in a different layer.
Sir, can you tell me what kind of projects are you working on? I mean, because when I actually I was also looking for same course. They are working on like entertainment industry, e-commerce app, and hospital industries and all this.
There are many types of projects. I'll tell you.
What kind of is it? Will it be real world?
Yeah, of course, this will be a real world kind of a project. We're going to build e-commerce application, grocery app. We have a different type of projects. One project we're going to work, we're going to use while doing a training, and then you have to create a project in the end of the training also. Then we're going to share a list of projects. You can choose which project you want to build, and then there will be the mentor who will be helping you to complete that project. All are will be real-time projects, not a kind of a dummy to do kind of an application. It will be complete full-fledged application.
So what is the benefit of this training? What are the chances that person can do after this training? Either if you want to start something his own, what he can start his own. If you don't want to go for job, what he can start his own. Can you put a brief idea on this question?
Definitely. So basically, there are a lot of developers who don't want to go for a regular job. They can work as a freelancer. There are many websites are there which can you can create your profile and you can start getting projects from there are various websites, or you can also get associated with some of the companies who will going to give you the project, right? So there are a lot of freelancing work you can do with as a full stack developer also. Okay, so Monish is asking what is the average package of the full stack. So that depends. I think as a fresher, if you see a full stack developer can get something between 5 to 6 lakhs initially. That depends upon your learning and your experience. Then it to keep on going.
Sir.
Yes.
What backend you're using? Either Java, .NET, or both?
No, we're not using Java and .NET. As I said, it's a MERN stack. We're going to use Node.js, JavaScript.
Node.js.
Yes.
Okay. So some are teaching this technology mean and MERN with Java. What is the difference with Java and with this part?
See, first of all, if you are doing it with a Java, it's not a mean or MERN stack. It is just you are using a Java track, and with along with the Java, you are learning maybe the Angular React. It's not a MERN and mean stack. If you search on the Google, you will find there's a lot of jobs and a lot of work for the mean and MERN stack. But if you say Java.NET, it's not a mean or MERN. When I say mean on MERN, that means we are using the Node.js, Express, and MongoDB as a backend.
So can we learn Agile also? Because in the mentioned syllabus, Agile, Kubernetes, Docker, and all those RabbitMQ and all these things.
I'll give you a quick walkthrough of the course content. So basically, first we're going to start from the Agile only. So because most of the company they're using the Agile methodology to for collaboration with the team. So we're going to give you the kind of a flavor in the Agile and Scrum. Then we're going to have a version control, that is a Git. Then we have a session on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then we're going to start learning the React. After the React, we're going to learn the Node.js. We'll see how we're going to build. We're going to create the REST APIs using the React, using Node.js, and then we also going to use the MongoDB as a database to store the data. After this, we're going to have the DevOps. In the DevOps, we're going to learn Jenkins. We're going to learn about the Docker, Kubernetes, Nagios, some monitoring tools, some testing tools, and then we also have some cloud where we're going to teach you about the AWS.
Hi, Varun. I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, Express is for framework for Node.js, is it not?
Correct.
So why we are using this E and N? It's in man stack or man or min stack. So we are using E and N both as well. Why it is?
See, Node.js is a runtime environment, and Express is a framework we use with the Node.js. So, and Node.js nothing just give you the runtime environment to execute JavaScript code, and Express give you the all the middlewares that we're going to use to build the REST API. So REST API give you all the middlewares, and Java. This Node.js is just a kind of a runtime environment which will going to take your JavaScript code, execute, and give you the response. You can also use a native Java Node.js to build an application, but that will be little, you can say, not organized properly, and then you write a lot of code. So that's the reason we're using the Express here.
Okay, when we were working on the Node part, then Express is the framework that we are going to like implement the things, right?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Sir, can we learn how to build apps like maybe the React Native or not?
So React Native is not the part of the course, but of course, if once you get the idea of the React, you can able to learn the React Native also. Because again, the React Native is also using the similar kind of a library, not exactly the same, but similar kind of a library. So you will get the idea of the syntax, and it will be easy for you to learn the React Native.
Sir, you said that from freelancing, but from freelancing you can't earn so much of money because from freelancing. Yes, sir. Just a minute, sir. Let me finish. From freelancing, it's very difficult to get a bid on Upwork, like on a Fiverr and these kind of platforms. So if I exclude freelancing, what other person can start his own? I mean, because you have to have 12 years of experience, you know everything about the real world. I belong to Amritsar. If I want to settle in my own city, okay, what I can do with if I learn this course and after 4 to 5 months of this rigorous syllabus, what I can if I want to start my own. Yeah.
So what do you want to start? Like if you don't want to do a freelancing, then what is the option you are looking for?
That's what I'm asking you. What I can do in here? I mean, in my own city.
I'll tell you. So first of all, the course is self-sufficient. You don't
because right now my age is also not fit into 21. No, I'm not at 21, 22. I'm quite mature. I'm 37. Okay. If I, that's why I'm feeling apprehensive. What I can do with this? Yeah.
I'll tell you. So first of all, there's no age limit for learning. Learning you can do the entire life. First of all. Second,
yes, sir, that I don't consider age is
age is just a number, but for learning there's no age barrier. Second thing is, see, the course will be self-sufficient, which give you the entire thing that you want to start as a full stack developer. You don't have to go for any other thing, because in this course, if you see the curriculum, it has been designed in such a way it will going to cover everything that you may require to just get started as a full stack developer. Now coming to your question, you said like what we can do. Suppose if you want to settle in your country, in your state, then definitely you can have your own website, you can start marketing, and you can get some projects, you can do some kind of a project. See, the only thing is getting the first initial project will be difficult. But once you get a good rapport with the customers, you have delivered some kind of a project, then that become your you can say selling point. You can have your own portfolio. You can because it is a very common you can say a story. You can say earning first lakh is difficult, but then after you can multiply it very frequently. Similarly, getting the first project is little difficult, but after once you get your first initial 1 or 2 project, then it becomes your kind of a track record which you can show and can get the other projects. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Varun, there are, sorry to cut you, Varun. Varun, there are certain questions in the chat portal by Manish Suraj as well. So kindly look on to it.
So somebody's asking about the future point of the Django. So Django, of course, I can see like Python is more, as per my experience, I can say Python is more inclined toward the data analytics. For web development, I don't think so. There's any comparison between the Node.js and the Django. Although people are using the Django also for building the web application, but I feel Python has a more great future in the data side for analytics, you can say.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
the
got
next
it.
is what is
Sir,
the previous?
one more question. Can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, for example, if I want to build a website like Book My Show,
Right.
so what all technologies should we use in that kind of website?
So definitely you need to be expert of the all the three layers, front end, back end, database, and then you also need to have some experience on the deployment. You need to have some experience in the DevOps because these sites require a lot of scalability. So by having a knowledge of this, these DevOps and the cloud will going to add, will going to be, you can say, make your site more successful.
Okay, sir. Sir, and there is one more thing. If you look at Book My Show,
Mm.
and if I want to book one ticket,
Mm.
तो वो जो algorithm है, जो अगर मैं कुछ भी ticket book करूँ, so other people can see that if I've booked or not and how many seats are remaining.
Mm.
So do we have to write that algorithm by the help of JavaScript, or it's already there and we just need to club both the things?
See, first of all, there are a lot of algorithms you can find over the internet, but you need to know. So as a developer, it's not necessary that you have to reinvent the entire wheel again. As a developer, you should know how to consume the things. You don't have to build everything from the scratch. If you
Sir,
find some resource over the internet,
so how can we consume that thing, the one which are already available?
see, that is something you will to learn. But for that, you have to learn the language first, and then you will see there are a lot of libraries are available which you can consume in your project. Right? Something you can also be. It's not like that you always have to look for the ready-made solution. It's not there. You can customize it. You can create your own also.
Varun, is there going to be any further training, in-depth training for these mean or MERN? As you are saying that we will learn this, all these things. So when that training is going to be started?
That I think Anamika will let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is this program which we have structured keeping all the skills in mind. That's called Master Certification in Full Stack Development, particularly into MERN-Stack. It's a 5-month of certification program where we conduct live instructor-led sessions over the weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday, all the skills are delivered by the trainer, and these are instructor-led. As Varun was explaining to Varun Mahajan, we give certain kinds of projects and assignments because it's going to be complete hands-on. And for this month, the session is scheduled for 26th of June. So I was about to tell everything about the program at the end, but since Varun Mahajan brought up this topic, so I'm sure everybody is aware of that Xebia also offers certification courses on the cutting edge technologies.
Is this provided by TI, Ms. Taylors, or something from somewhere else?
It's provided by Xebia itself. So if you go back and check Xebia's history, we are primarily an IT consultancy and software development MNC. So we are headquartered in Netherlands and globally present. Now, Xebia Academy is a vertical of Xebia, which helps professionals as well as young people to upskill themselves on any technology. So as of now, we have 3 technologies which we deliver training on. That's on full stack development, MERN-Stack. There is another program that's on to artificial intelligence and machine learning. And the third one is on big data. I'll share the website link on the chat so that if anybody of you is interested, they can have a look at it.
What is the cost of this course and who is going to be here? Is it by individuals or by our company TELUS?
See, it totally depends upon you. We have certain people from TELUS who have attended the webinar earlier as well. If your company is reimbursing, so we definitely share the invoice on the company's name. If somebody wants to do individually, they can do it because it's on a one-to-one basis. We have a batch strength. We keep the batch strength among 6 to 8 people, and if they are enrolling in it, they can go ahead for the training. The course fee is 44,999 plus taxes, which is up to 53,098 rupees. Whatever discounts are available, if you're interested, do drop us an email. We'll share a particular structured mail with you regarding the course content.
Okay, got it. So Anamika, you are from Xebia, right?
Yes, I am. And Varun is the person who's conducting the training, who has structured the entire course content. So, you're getting the advice from the expert himself who has designed the content.
So Varun, one question actually, earlier we used to say backend as databases and front end as these JSP pages or SP pages, but now in this training you are saying backend has become to a language and database is entirely a different thing. Front end is something different. So what is this different came along in during those
I'll tell you.
Last decade?
I'll tell you. So basically, earlier when we want to build a web application, we might be using the PHP. In the case of PHP, we embed the PHP code directly in the HTML. So they're tightly coupled with each other. Similarly, when we're using a JSP, we are using the JSP code along with the HTML with the Java code. Same thing in the .NET also. But now the thing has been changed. We are looking for a more, you can say, scalable and more decoupled kind of a structure, where one backend can be consumed with various kind of application. So now we're going to want to have some kind of a tightly coupling between our application components. We want to make it loosely coupled so that any component can be used with the other. Suppose nowadays, if I build a backend application, so my backend application will be mostly like a RESTful API. Those RESTful API you can use in web application or maybe in Android app or even in the iOS app. So we don't have to put an effort 3 times. Make sense?
Yeah. What are the like I have developed using Java, J2E, MVC2 architecture. Okay. So what are the prerequisites for the courses that you are saying?
So primarily, as I said, the primary technology we'll be using is a JavaScript. And although in this course we are not keeping anything prerequisite, because everything will be covered from the scratch. But somebody having a passion for the programming and he having a basic knowledge will be easy for them to grab.
Okay, thanks.
So Varun, I mean, anyone who's also from a non-technical background, right? He's not done BTech and all, he's eligible to, take up this course, correct?
Anybody who want to start their journey as a you can say developer and having a passion in the programming, definitely they can enroll for the course. Because in the course is structured in such a way that we're going to take you from the basics to the advanced level.
So no knowledge of C, C++ and all that thing required, right?
Not at all, not at all.
Varun, there is a question by Ankur Rastogi in the Q&A forum. Have you answered that one?
Feasibility of mean and MERN setup on K8s. So both are same. So we don't have, these are you're talking about the Docker and Kubernetes, right? Ankur. Both having an equal feasibility, or you can say the support. So we generally, when we talk about the microservices architecture, that time we have to containerize our application. So we're going to have a front end which is running on a different container, back end running on a different container, even database is running on different containers. So both are flexible and both are, you can say, feasible. So did I answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. Any the last question if anybody has?
I believe we don't have any further questions. So yeah, we'll wind up the session now. If somebody has a question, I have shared our email address, my contact number in the chat portal. You can definitely reach out to us. I and Varun will happily answer all the questions. And at last, I would just thank Varun for such an engaging session. I hope our participants must have understood the right technology. So the recordings will be shared with all of you. If, again, if there are any questions related to the session or certification, then please do connect with us via email. Until then.
Will we get any certificate or any, from training?
After the training, or you're asking about after 5 months of certification program?
Any certification from any particular company or like particular?
And Varun, you'll be getting certificates from Xebia itself. We are not collaborated with any other education provider because, as I said, the difference between Xebia and other education providers are we belong from this industry into the technical side. We are not only education providers. So we exactly know what the skills are required in order to be hired as a full stack developer or work as a full stack developer. So we are not collaborating with any other education provider, and the certificate will be given by Xebia and that will be globally recognized. I hope I must be clear for your question. So until then, we'll take your leave. Thanks for attending our session.